Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you for joining the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe.
On this show, we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear.
That means we're going to talk about some of the best movies from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
So thank you for joining us. Now let's get it started in here. Hi, this is Zach.
And this is Zoe, and welcome to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe, where we take a look back at the movies of yesteryears. This is the 34th episode, and the reason we started this show was to strengthen the bond between my son Zach and me, Zoe. We watch movies that I loved when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and we get Zach's impression on these great movies.
You can get t-shirts, hoodies, mug, face masks, jerseys, and more at our website, backlookcinema.com, where you can click the link to either teesprings.com or tpublic.com.
And please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find the details in the show notes. There are direct links to our social media at backlookmedia.com, where you can leave us direct feedbacks, comments, suggestions, etc. Or you can email us at fanmail@backlookcinema.com.
And by the way, that's backlookcinema.com, not backlookmedia.
Is that what I said?
Yes.
My bad.
And please, if you like our show, then rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast app that you might be using.
We can also be found in another place where you can write your reviews. If you're using an app that doesn't allow you to write reviews, you can, if you can't use your preferred listening platform, then there's a place called podchaser.com. You can either go to podchaser.com and look for Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe, or you can go to our website at backlookcinema.com and click on the Podchaser button, where you can leave us your glowing 5-star review. We know you want to. It helps us tremendously. So, Zachary, what have you been up to?
Nothing.
As usual. Come on. There's got to be something that you was into. Some movie, some TV show.
Well, I mean,
you watch Loki?
No, not yet. I'll get to it when I get to it.
You got to get into it.
Yeah.
The joint is nice.
I did see, I only saw the Nintendo E3 conference,
right.
Which I was like, ooh, Nintendo, thank you for what you're showing me, because now I'm even more happy because Advance Wars is coming back, which I went finally, even though you had the DS, the DSi, the DSi XL, the 3DS, the new 3DS, the 3DS XL. Cause come on, Nintendo, you had...
So they hadn't had an Advance Wars on any Nintendo system since
the Game Boy. Yeah,
the Game Boy. Probably Game Boy Advance. I think they had
Game
one
Boy
for
Advance.
Game Boy Advance. Yeah,
exactly. And
so
I went, "What in the world is this nonsense?"
You know what's funny? I never finished an Advance Wars game. I think I would get halfway through, and then I got to the Fog of War, and I never got past the Fog of War.
All right, let's see. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 is coming to the Switch. To where I went, why did it take so long?
Is that on Nintendo? Is that a Nintendo game?
Well,
I guess it was on not Super Nintendo.
It was on the first original Pro Skaters. That was on Nintendo. There was on N64. Yeah,
right, N64.
But then again, I was like, when they made the remake of him, I was like, why didn't they come to the Switch as well? Because I see PS4, Xbox, PC. Where's the Nintendo Switch, guys?
Right. That doesn't make any sense.
That would have made perfect sense. This is the perfect opportunity to put it on a handheld where people can be on a go.
Right.
Playing a skateboarding game. Come on.
They be skipping on Nintendo Switch sometimes, and it doesn't make any sense. But they didn't skip on The Witcher, and I hear that The Witcher is fun to play on the Switch.
I think it's doing some cloud service. That's why.
The Witcher 3 you talking about?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I know that's what the Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be doing. It's like, oh, look at these graphics. And then if you read that tiny little print at the bottom of the screen, it's saying cloud. And I went, so you're telling me not to get it for the Switch, okay, because that's something dealing with the cloud, and I'm not dealing with that nonsense.
Right.
Because look at Stadia.
Well, I don't know. Nintendo, if Nintendo does it, they'll probably do it better. I mean, just because
I think
Stadia
they have done it better because that's how Doom is on there,
right.
I think.
Because I didn't know Nintendo was doing cloud gaming like that.
I mean, that's the only way they can get some high quality games like that without people having to compress it. Because, one good example of it being a horrible port is WWE 2K18. A horrible port. Everything is slowed, and I mean slow. Right. You can't even do a Royal Rumble.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. I'm thinking about there was the Xbox Game Pass. That's basically how you use that. It's all online, and apparently they do it excellently. There's almost no lag. I mean, there are certain games where there might be a little bit of lag.
Well, the issues with the Xbox Game Pass is that you need internet connection, and it's like even if you have the disc, you can't just play it offline.
Well, no. With Game Pass is completely different. Everything is online with Game Pass.
I know, but it's like, but even if you have the disc, like you have the physical copy of that old game, you can't just play it offline. All it does is it tells the system, like, oh yeah, you have this game, it's unlocked, blah blah blah.
Well, most games are like that nowadays. It's just the physical disc is just the key to unlock the game,
which is
that allows you to play it. But most games are like that now. But if you have a physical disc, that really doesn't have anything to do with Game Pass. Game Pass is more like Netflix for games. So if you subscribe to the service, then you can select whatever games is on Game Pass, and it uses I think it uses the internet to play the game. It's online gameplay. So you're not using like your computer because you're not downloading the game, I don't think. So you're not really using, because you can do it on your phones too.
You still have to download the game.
Because you can do it on your phones too. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, as long as you have.
Oh, that's right. You can't. You do download the game. So exactly. I don't know. Maybe I don't know how Game Pass works. But still, maybe it's not cloud gaming like I imagined it was. But still, you don't need a disc with Game Pass. But it's a neat service. But I don't want to pay for another service. But it's a neat service to consider if you don't want to buy an Xbox. Then you can. If you have a powerful enough computer or phone, then you can play it on those devices.
Yeah, I guess. I forgot who was it. Ubisoft. Oh yeah, Ubisoft. They had a weird conference and everyone just went wild because one of the games, it was Tom Clancy Rainbow Six Siege. Mm-hmm. It was like, hey, there's crossplay on PC. What was it? Amazon, whatever Amazon's doing with their cloud service gaming and Stadia, and I went, why? Why those two for crossplay? That's an odd choice, especially Stadia.
Aren't the other systems doing crossplay?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. But like I said, all I know is why Stadia? Because at this point, one, Stadia is dead. Two,
no, it's not dead yet. All they did was close their studio. They don't have their own game studio.
All I can say is this:
they're not dead yet.
It's still a horrible choice to choose Stadia.
They're hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, but guess what? The moment it actually shuts down, people lose those games forever.
That's the thing that makes Stadia horrible.
And I'm like, why would you even choose that option?
Is that everything is online, so you're buying a game that you can't even download, and if the service shuts down, then it's money that you lost.
See, if it was like GOG, then that'd have been fine and dandy. But since it's not like GOG,
yeah, GOG is like when you download games, or like even get Xbox Game Pass. It's a service, but you're not paying for those games. You're paying for the service. So whatever.
No, when if GOG goes down, you still have the games.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's when GOG, because I have GOG. You download the games, and the games on your. And even if you don't download the games, it's still in the GOG library as pertaining to you. So you can always go and download until they decide to shut it down. In which case, I'm pretty sure they'll send a notice. We're about to shut this system down.
So download all the games.
Get all your games now because we're going to shut this down. So yeah, that's the only thing. But yeah, it's so what else? You're talking about E3, all these things happening at E3. So
yeah,
what else did you see?
I know Square Enix had theirs, and it was just like, hey, we're putting this first 6 Final Fantasy games on phones, and even though they was already on phones, and then why on phones? Why not on Nintendo Switch? That would make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense. I understand why they would do. I understand why they would do it on phones, and maybe Nintendo they didn't. Maybe there's like a contractual agreement they can't put it on Nintendo or whatever. But yeah, it is kind of a missed opportunity not to put it on Nintendo Switch.
Then there's the another Final Fantasy game. I forgot what it's called, but apparently it takes place in Final Fantasy 1. That's a little confusing. I don't know.
And that'd be interesting to see a kind of a reimagining of Final Fantasy 1 because that was such a basic game. I don't think I played that one. I think I played Final Fantasy 3, but it hadn't advanced much from Final Fantasy 1. So basically you have like very basic characters like a wizard or a warrior or something like that. And it's, just blocky pixels.
I mean, it really doesn't matter because in the States, the Final Fantasies are in out of order anyway, so it doesn't even matter at this point.
Right. I think Final Fantasy 3 is like Final Fantasy 5 in Japan or something. I don't even know.
Let's see. We are getting Metroid. not Metroid Prime 4, because again, that's still in works.
Yeah, make it look
Nintendo.
good. Make it look good. Don't get. See, Nintendo don't do anything.
Well, I
half-baked.
mean, they got the
I've
people
noticed
who
the-
made Prime 1, 2, and 3 because they originally had someone else do it, and since they didn't like the progress, they're like, okay, you know what? We're starting all over. Get the other company that did it first.
Right.
Because that was a bad mistake. We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So
So
it was like, while you're waiting for Prime 4, here's Metroid 5. And I'm like, okay, Metroid 5. Oh, but then I'm like, wait, which one is 2? Okay, 1 and 2. Which one is 3?
yeah, which one is 3? I don't even know.
Are
'Cause
you
I
trying
know-
to say Super Metroid is 3? What?
I'm
Come
thinking
on.
Super Metroid is 2. I think there was another one,
I mean,
I
there
guess,
is
I don't even
Metroid
know.
Prime Fusion and then all the, but it's still
but I
confusing.
think they're talking about they're differentiating between Metroid as it was first.
Yeah, Metroid, and then
the
you have
very first
Metroid. Like,
version,
I understand
and
there's
then Metroid
Metroid and then
Prime.
Metroid Prime.
Right.
And it's like, I remember on Twitter, I saw someone talking about, how they're not advancing forward. And I'm like, are you sure? Have you not played Metroid before? It was like, yes. And I'm like, okay, then. So you should know that there's Metroid and Metroid Prime. If you want a 3D platforming game, Metroid Prime. If you want a 2D adventure where you backtracking game, then you have Metroid.
Well, they both backtrack.
Yeah,
I'm
they
trying to
are
think,
both
is that-
backtracking.
Yeah, Metroid is basically a 2D platformer, and it plays totally different. It has a very different vibe to it. So and there are people who very much enjoy that kind of platform gameplay.
Well, when I saw, I was like, ooh, that's a good. And I think that's one of the games that was canceled, Metroid Dread, like back then. But then it was like, I don't remember. I know there was one Metroid game that was in development, but it was under rumor, but it was silently canceled.
Right.
So I was like, okay. But I think this is the one because I think it was called Metroid Dread. But it was still like, ooh, Samus got a new suit. Ooh, there's some new enemies. Ooh.
Yeah, it's got to be new. You
This is
got
gonna
to get
be
new
good.
stuff.
This is going to be a real good Metroid game where I can
Right.
get lost and be like, I don't know where to go now, Nintendo.
Right.
Let me see walkthroughs. Okay. That's what I was supposed. Thanks for the little hint, Nintendo. I don't see.
Right. So you've been knee deep in E3.
I'm more impressed with Nintendo because still got to wait for Sony to see what they do because they don't do E3 no more.
Right.
And I got to wait for Sony
Right.
to see how they answer back to Xbox with, oh, guess what? We have Bethesda, and because we got that, we have, what was it called? Starfield. Yeah, Starfield. And then people was like, okay, can we see gameplay? No! And then everyone's like, you know what, to me, this is just Fallout in space. That's all it is. I know you're Bethesda, but this is Fallout in space at this point until I see gameplay.
Outer Worlds is Fallout in space. So
No, see, the difference is, at least Outer World is different than Fallout.
yeah.
Also, Outer Worlds 2 has been announced, and I'm like, but why?
A lot of people like Outer Worlds.
I know, but it's like, can you guys have just waited just a little bit?
No,
It's just-
no. When you got a population, you got to strike when the iron is hot.
No.
Because especially since all they did was announce it, because it takes like years for these games to come out.
True, it does, but then it's like
We probably-
you're putting up hope
I mean,
because
it's not necessarily
something could happen. And it's like, oh, gotta cancel it, something like that.
No, that most likely what'll happen is it'll get pushed back. There's a very slight chance that they'll cancel it, especially since they already announced it.
People are excited for Halo Infinite, even though again, there's no release date. It's like, yeah, go ahead, yeah, you're excited, I understand, but
Well, people are like, take your time. Don't be like Cyberpunk.
no.
Don't do that.
People also like, don't be like Cyberpunk.
That's what I'm saying. Don't be like Cyberpunk. Take your time.
No, they're saying because if they take their time too long.
No, but Cyberpunk didn't take their time. That's the problem.
No, they did take their time.
No, what they did was they were making it for like a PlayStation 4. That's what it was supposed to be for. But then they changed their mind, switched gears, try to make it for a more advanced system like
Because it's
PlayStation
been
5
in development for it
and
since
Xbox.
2013.
Right. But not take your time like that because it doesn't need to take that long to make a game. Not take your time in the sense that it's a 10-year-old game, but take your time and because I think what happened with Cyberpunk, it was a very different game when they started. And then they started from scratch and made a brand new game. So that's why it took so long, because they made a new game, because this wasn't the original game that was supposed to be out. So what I'm saying is they should take your time, normal development time. Don't put out stuff that's got a bunch of bugs in it. Like the game is almost done. I mean, they could have put it out and then fixed it with bug fixes, but they were like, no, let's wait. Let's get rid of all the bugs right now and then put it out like Nintendo does. I noticed there's very few bugs in Nintendo games.
I think if I remember, I didn't read the article. I just saw the title and read a little bit of it, talking about how Master Chief needs to die because he's been dragged on for too long. And I'm like, you know what? I see your point. It's not like he's Link where it's a different person. It's just the same guy. Like, he went from fighting aliens to now he has to fight his best friend. And I'm like, what? So he has to fight. Why? That makes no sense. See, all those times having adventures with him and her, you're telling me now he has to fight her? Oh, okay. That's an odd turn of events. That's okay.
I don't get vested in video game stories. Because they tend not to make sense and they retcon a lot. It's like the only.
Oh yeah, they did retcon a lot because it's heavily seen how they retcon a lot in the Halo game.
There are two video game stories that are really good. That's The Last of Us and the Mass Effect series is really good. A lot of people didn't like the end. I thought the end was a bold choice. I didn't like the end either, but I thought it was a bold choice.
Of The Last of Us 2?
I didn't play Last of Us 2, but I hear that they made some strong choices. I'm definitely gonna play it.
It's strong, horrible choices.
Well, I've already got the game, so I'm definitely gonna play it.
Disgusted from what I had to do.
Well, let's not talk about it because I haven't played it yet. So I don't need the spoilers. I need to hurry up and play it before I accidentally spoil myself. Because somebody be like, "Well, it's a 10-year-old game. I'm gonna do all the spoilers." I need to avoid that. I've avoided all podcasts and shows that talk about The Last of Us Part 2, so I want to continue that streak until I get a chance to play it. But anyway, I'm still listening to Dune. I'm still playing Outriders. Here's the one thing I noticed about Outriders is that I kind of enjoy the game, even though it's rather repetitive. But the only thing that kind of annoys me is that the bosses are not that interesting, because it's like in other video games, in order to beat the boss, you kind of have to find their weakness or find a pattern or something like that. But with these bosses, it's just like you're just throwing bullets at it until it dies. And it's like,
they eat sponges for days.
Yes, it takes a long time, and it's like it gets boring after there's like there's
sometimes you get slowed down by them, and you're like, when could they do that?
Oh, some got the weapons.
Some can just slow you down with these little pellets that pops. I'm like, I hate that.
Yeah, and it's funny because yours don't affect them as much because I have a shotgun that can freeze enemies, but if you try to do that to a boss, it doesn't really work. They only stop for like a fraction of a second.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what's the point of this gun?
Right. The gun is pointless.
Like, sure, our normal enemies, yeah, sure, whatever. They're frozen for like 3 seconds, but them 1 second. Come on, I'm frozen for like an eternity at this moment.
Right. It's totally unfair. And it's like, but see, that's just not throwing bullets at an enemy. It's just not interesting. It's like, it's nice to be able to find a pattern or find a weapon that they're weak to. That's also interesting because it's like, as long as they don't tell you, as long as you have to figure it out. Like the gold standard for figuring out enemies besides Mario is something like Metal Gear Solid. Especially when you had to fight Psycho Mantis. That's the gold standard for fighting an enemy.
Snake, just plug your first controller into the second port.
Right.
That's how you beat him. Okay.
They have to blatantly tell you if you don't get it after all, because he's steadily giving you clues on how to beat him.
Along with how to call Mel. How do I call Mel? Look in the back of the box.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Very clever, Hidema. Very clever.
Right. That's the gold standard. But and it's nothing like that. And I guess Outriders is not that type of game, but I would have appreciated something of that in the game, and it doesn't exist in the game.
I would appreciate it if I could. The bosses weren't such a bullet sponge.
Yeah,
especially when you shoot them in the head, they should take more damage. But apparently, no.
Yeah, I think what it is that it encourages people to play online with their friends. They make the bosses hard that
play online with friends to the point where even though you got the boss, you also got many enemies attacking you too. So it's like, can I just have a standard boss fight without having all these other enemies shooting me?
That's kind of fun. I like.
No, it's very annoying because it's like I have to focus on the boss and other people shooting me. I have no way to cover myself.
Usually those are the mini bosses. And what happens is that actually the spider was a main boss and he did that.
Yeah.
But it allows you to recover your health. That's why they send out the mini enemies, because especially if you're using like the Pyromancer, he gets health by using his powers on other beings. I don't think
you got to that part did you get to that part where you got to this temple and you had to fight off a horde of enemies?
I mean,
Did
the whole game is like that. No, that's the whole game.
I'm giving you a setting where you're where you go into a temple in the jungle, and you have to fight these monsters, not human people, monsters.
Yeah,
and there's a horde of them, and then it's like,
are they like kind of dog size?
Dog size, right. Yeah. They can poison you.
Yeah. I fought plenty of those like that.
So you got to the part where you have to fight 2 mini bosses. No, you have to fight 3 mini bosses basically. The first one has a horde, and the second one are 2 giant, not giant, but this
is this big. I don't know. I fought stuff like that, but I don't know if I've gotten to that. I think this is when
you find the native person on the planet who hasn't changed.
No, I haven't did that one.
Okay,
yet.
So you haven't. Okay, because I could have sworn you should have gotten to that part already from what I seen you where you were at.
I don't know. I may have. I don't. Because like I say, it's all alike. You know what I'm saying? It all looks like I fought a bunch of that. But goodness gracious, we've gone so far and not even talk about the movie yet. What movie did we do yesterday, Zachary?
Conan the Barbarian.
Conan the Barbarian. Tell us about Conan the Barbarian.
A young boy, Conan, becomes a slave after his parents are killed and tribe destroyed by savage warlord and sorcerer Tussler Doom. When he grows up, he becomes a fearless, invincible fighter. Set free, he plots revenge against Tussler Doom, and that was written by Grants.
I think that's Thulsa.
Oh, Thulsa?
Yeah, I think that's Thulsa Doom.
That's an
interesting name. This movie was released on May 14, 1982 by Universal Pictures. It grossed over $39 million US and Canada and over $68 million worldwide on a $20 million budget. It had generally favorable reviews and not a huge box office, just barely double its budget domestically. Yeah, generally you kind of want more than that. And maybe these budgets are always estimates. So maybe the estimate for this particular budget was a little high, but it did do $68 million worldwide. So it had, like I said before, generally favorable reviews. It's one of the things that we talk about all the time was growing up. It's like one of the favorite things about growing up is Conan the Barbarian. It's just something that super captures the imagination. And this movie stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan. He was in Predator, The Last Action Hero, Terminator, and Twins.
Then we have James Earl Jones, who played as Tussler Doom.
What did we just talk about?
Tussler.
Thulsa,
whatever. A weird name. Thulsa Doom. He was in The Lion King, The Hunt for the Red October, and Coming to America.
Yeah, so those are the 2 match stars of the film. Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously, this is probably the most significant role that he had in his early days. So he's had some small parts. He was in this, I think it was him that was in this movie called Hercules in New York. And he did this documentary called Pumping Iron. But this is the one that really put him on the map. And James Earl Jones, he had an outstanding, he still has, but this is like in the middle of his outstanding movie career when he was chosen to play Thulsa Doom. We also have Max von Sydow. He lived from 1929 and passed away in 2020. He played King Osric, and he was in Flash Gordon, Minority Report, Judge Dredd, and so many other movies because Max von Sydow is about that life.
Then we have Sundal.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Bergman.
Yeah.
Bergman. He was.
No, that's a woman.
Okay. C was Valeria. Valeria. Did they even said her name in the movie? I don't even think so. I doubt they said her name in the movie because
they must have said it once.
Oh, sure. She was in Red Sonja. That's just it.
She was in a bunch of other stuff, but that's the most notable thing that she would have been in. Also, there's Ben Davidson. He played Rexor and he was in How the West Was Won and some other movies.
And then we have Cassandra Gava. She was the witch, and she was in the Last Man Standing.
Right. And then there is Mako, 1933 to 2006. The Great Man Stood. He played the Wizard of the Mounds, and he was the narrator. He was also in Pearl Harbor, Bulletproof Monk, and Samurai Jack.
And he was also in the last Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay. And
then lastly, we have Valkyrie Quincean.
I'm going to say Quinescent.
Okay, Quinescent, and she was the princess.
All right. This was
directed by John Milius. What is wrong with you? He directed Dillinger and Red Dawn.
Yeah. I actually watched Dillinger when I was younger. That was nice. This movie was also written by John Milius and Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone's great filmmaker. I did not realize he also has his hand in writing films as well. This movie was based on the characters created by Robert E. Howard. He also created Red Sonja, Solomon Kane. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. Solomon Kane and Kroll the Conqueror. All of these properties have been made into movies. Milius, he's also written Jeremiah Johnson, Apocalypse Now, and Rome TV show. And Oliver Stone, he has written Nixon, JFK, Platoon, and Scarface. All of these movies he directed. So he's like a storyteller to the core. And at least one of these films is going on the list. Can you guess which one?
Is it Solomon Kane?
No.
Okay,
no, I mean, it's one of the Oliver Stone movies.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Scarface.
Scarface. That is correct. That's got to go on the list. You haven't seen Scarface?
No, I have not.
It's shocking to be shown this movie when you're a teenager, because this is not a teenage movie. Saw it on video cassette while I was at my grandmother's house. Your great grandmother. Now, that is where you get the famous phrase, "Say hello to my little friend." You've probably seen that in memes everywhere.
Yes, I
have. You have
have
got to watch that movie then.
The music is by Basel. Okay.
Let's say, yeah, that sounds good.
Paul Doris. Polydorus. He did RoboCop 3, Hot Shots Part Ducks.
No, that's
Part Ducks.
That's a French word. It's pronounced "do." Hot Shots Part "do." "Do" means two.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's not how I see these spelled as. I see DEUX.
Well, they pronounce their words differently. It's a different language.
I'm gonna need them to the way to pronounce it. I'm gonna need it for the way it's spelled.
What's really gonna mess you up is that a lot of our English words come from French, so that's why you see a bunch of words.
At least there's some words that when we say it, it's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Like deja vu. When I think of that, I'm like, you know what? I can see how the spelling was. This? No. Do?
Yeah, that's how you...
I mean, that's Duex. Yeah.
That's D.
He also did music for Free Willy. Talking about Do. DEUX. Unbelievable.
The executive producers were D. Constantine Conte, Dino De Laurentiis, and Edward R. Pressman.
All right, so we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to talk about our favorite parts of the movie, some movie trivia, and find out what some of the critics thought.
With travel restrictions lifting and life returning to normal, it's time to consider a change of scenery. It's time to consider a warm and beautiful place to relax and decompress. It's time to consider Latveria. Come to Latveria, a place of beauty and order. Enjoy the rustic, romantic, superhero-free vacation in Europe's most pristine secret hideaway. Remember that our glorious leader, Victor Von Doom, wants you to enjoy yourself. And in Latveria, his word is law. Brought to you by the Latveria Ministry of Travel. Latveria, we master all that lies before.
Hi, this is Zoe, and on episode 33, our Backdraft episode, we talked to the amazing Toby Gribbon from the Toby Gribbon Show from the United Kingdom-based Shout Radio Network. Shout Radio has a variety of shows, and the Toby Gribbon Show is a mix of oldies music interspliced with some of the most interesting people in the world, like rapper Jay Stacks, comedian and ventriloquist April Brucker, and DC Glenn from the 90s hip-hop duo Tag Team. Soon, I will be appearing on The Toby Gribbon Show, which airs live Thursdays and Fridays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. British time or 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Keep your eyes on our socials and I'll let you know when that interview airs. In the meantime, check out The Toby Gribbon Show on Shout Radio at shoutradio.org.uk. And you can check out past episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the show.
And we're back. Thank you for sticking with us at the Backlook Cinema podcast. All right, Zach, let me know what your favorite parts of Conan the Barbarian is.
One good part is, okay, I'm gonna get this issue up. I love how they have Conan as a young kid, but then when it comes to Doom himself, he doesn't age. None of him or his henchmen do it. I'm like,
yeah.
Are you gonna say because he's a wizard? That's what you're gonna say? Then fine, I guess.
Oh, hold on. You know what? Are we recording? Hold on. Let me see. Yes, we are recording. Okay.
And I was like, okay, but still, how he's gonna tell me? Oh, it must be in my younger days. What do you mean younger days? You're still the same age.
Yeah, I get Doom having not aged because he's a wizard. That makes sense.
His two henchmen.
But the henchmen don't age, and that's questionable. It's like they hadn't aged a day. So yeah, that is something. Now, the only thing I can think of is that because they're his closest disciples, they hadn't aged. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're following in his footsteps. They're doing the same ceremonies, drinking the same potions, and he's keeping them around. So that's why they hadn't aged. But that's me just retconning.
I love how one of them looks like he doesn't even want to be there. Like he doesn't even want to be a villain. It's the one with the hammer. I was like, he does not want to be there. The other guy, he was like, oh yeah, I'm fit for this. The other guy, he was like, I don't even want to be here. I'm giving you this sword. I still don't want to be here. But the beginning of the scene where Conan's father tells him on who he should trust and who he shouldn't trust. Talking about don't trust men, women, or beasts. But still, you can always trust. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to trust, but okay.
Well, it's more like he's teaching him about the religion of Crom.
Yeah, Crom.
And so what happens is that Crom is the god that they worship. He lives in the ground, and certain things happen, and basically a battle happens that leaves steel all over the earth, and men found steel, and steel is reliable. So it's basically, he says, trust in steel because, like, I guess the idea is that after you forge it into a sword, you can depend on it to fight with, so you can trust it. It's not, as long as you make it properly, it's not going to break, So I think that's the point that his father was trying to make.
So yeah, the beginning of the scene where he tasked to talk, and also, they're all doing normally, and the kid Conan sees something in the distance, like, what is that? Is that a man? Why is he shirtless? What's wrong with him? And then he sees other people going towards the village, like, oh no, my village. I gotta go and make sure everything's okay. And then that's a little battle ensues where, Conan's father is doing fine by himself, taking them down one by one kind of.
Yeah, he ain't go out like no punk.
Everyone else either, they're fighting back or they just run away and end up getting hit. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that happened. Right. Then you have that one scene where Conan is holding his mom. It's kind of weird because that one scene he's holding the hand. The next scene he's like holding the blade up with both her hands. And then the next scene after that, back to holding his hand. I'm like, can you make up your mind, please?
She's changing her grip. She's constantly changing the grip of her sword, trying to figure out how to fight these dudes. But, it's not much she can do. It's a whole, she's like the only survivor left. Her and her son are basically, and the other children, because there were other children in the village. She's basically the last adult standing.
And then, they just stare at each other, and then she lets her guard down. Doom got the sword that the Conan father made and used it to cut Conan's mom head off clean.
Well, I think what it is that they don't explicitly explain it.
I think because he's a wizard and he used some snake magic because that's what it looked like.
Right. He's using his mojo on her, and he used just enough of it for her to lower her guard down. And then he took that opportunity to behead her. And you see him use his mojo several times in this movie. So they're pretty consistent about that with him and his.
Even though they don't really explain it, you have to figure that.
He did explain it. He explained it at the end to Conan. You remember that speech they had?
Talking about how he was the father and such.
No, not that.
About how he made who he was.
No, well, that was part of the speech.
Or
but
better yet, on how... Are you talking about the one we're talking about, oh, still is not... Talking about the riddle to the steel, the answer to that.
Right. Steel is not.
Flesh is stronger.
Right. Steel isn't strong. Flesh is stronger.
And I'm like,
and
sure.
then he called this girl from a high cliff, and instead of walking down the cliff, she just fell down.
I'm like, are you sure that's stronger? Because it looks like she died.
No, he's saying that his power over people, that is the power of the flesh. People. So he's explaining that. So he's explaining that first he went after Steel, and then he realized that it was the power. Basically, it's the power to control people. It's the greatest power of them all. And it's power to control them without, threatening them or controlling them. Just basically his power to just, basically his mind control.
I guess.
His power of mind control is the greatest power of them all. And so he uses it several times. And it's a little bit consistent. So.
Another good scene. It's like, you see the transition of Conan as a kid growing up into an adult. It's like, all that person. And he look at all that muscle, and then it's like, oh, the other kids must have went away because apparently they couldn't handle it.
No, actually, I think what it is that, like, when they're kids, it takes all of the kids to turn that. I guess
turn that wheel. Yeah,
right, to turn the wheel. I guess it's some kind of a mill of some sort. I don't know what it is. They don't exactly.
They don't say. It's like, oh, we're gonna have these kids pushing
push this wheel. So it takes all the kids to do it. But as the kids get older and stronger, I think some of the kids are sold to other people.
They either die off of because I feel like they wasn't fed. That's why I really feel like
no, there's no way you can get as big as Conan and not be fed. So I think they wanted the children to be strong.
Possibly wanted them to be strong.
I think so as you can, they continued to grow. They needed less kids because the older they got, the stronger they got. So by the time Conan was a full-grown, muscular man, he was the only one pushing the wheel because he didn't need anybody else to push it. And you remember he was by himself.
Yeah, he's by himself and like
pushing this dumb wheel.
I'm like, okay. Then it skips to the next scene where, because this is like two scenes where he transitions to being a full-grown man and then like toss him in the battle like, you're gonna fight.
Yeah, they made him into a gladiator.
Okay. Looks like some underground type of stuff. Just the gladiator right off the bat. Like, okay, won his first fight without ever having know how to fight at all. I'm like,
right.
Okay,
it's weird to throw him into an arena and at least not give him any pointers.
And because he was doing so well in his fights, like he's winning fight after fight. They're like, you know what? We're going to teach you how to use a sword from with this samurai because obviously this is a samurai right here. We're also going to let you read and write. We're also going to give you women.
It's probably...
We're not read and write, we just read.
No, read and write.
Oh.
I mean, they definitely... Well, they didn't show him writing anything, but they definitely taught him how to read. No, as far as... it's probably not a samurai because I don't think they went all the way to Japan. But it's definitely somebody from China. It's definitely somebody from the Far East, where he learned his sword skills.
Yeah.
Because they
from the sword he was using, that was a katana.
Was that a katana?
Yes, it was a katana based on that sword.
Oh, you're talking about the trainer?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe they did get him from Japan. Maybe he immigrated to China. But yeah, they trained him and everything. What other favorite parts you had?
When he finds the thief after he didn't even kill the witch. He just escaped.
Well, he tried to kill her. He threw her in the fire.
But, she just ran away chuckling. I was like, I don't see the point of that.
She turned to a ball of energy and just ran away chuckling. Right.
And then, he came across a thief talking about, can you untie me? Talking about, do you have any food? Talking about, I'd rather, not die in hunger.
Right.
Talking about, why would they even talking about to feed me to the wolves? I was like, huh. And they both laugh. I'm like, okay. Y'all just bonded like that? Oh, all right.
I guess because he's been in bondage too, so he understands what it means to be in bondage.
Oh no, here's another good part. When he fell down this cave in this hole, when he was running from the wolves, and then he saw the skeleton, and he was like, "Crom." I'm like, are you saying "Crom" as because that's who you think it is, or are you saying "Crom" because you're saying like "Thank God"? Is that what you should like? Which one is it?
I think it's more of an exclamation because he says "Crom." when he's excited or something like that. It's like
It seems like it.
It's like when we say, "Oh my God," he says, "Crom."
I'm like,
But it do sound, but like he's actually those were dogs, not wolves. But like he falls into the cave and he looks at the is a skeleton, and the way they frame it and everything, it kind of looks like he's saying. He's calling the skeleton Crom.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, if you call it the skeleton Crom, or you just like, Crom, yes, a sword.
Right. Yeah, he
Like,
finds a gigantic sword.
Use it, and then again, is it because it's a movie? They're not going to explain on how all he did was wipe the sword, hit it against a rock, and it became stronger to the point where it could cut his chain off. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But
Right. Yeah, if a metal has been in a cave for thousands of years and it's all oxidized and whatnot, it's not going to be all shiny and new just from banging the dust off of it. But it's movie. Well, it's movie magic. It's movie, or it's a special steel. It's one of the two. I mean, if it were gold or what's another one, silver or something like that, then it's not going to oxidize or anything because gold and silver are very resistant to oxidation. The problem is that gold is not a very good cutting metal. It's very soft, especially if it's pure gold. So it wouldn't make a good weapon, and neither does silver. So so you're left with steel, and steel is going to oxidize if it's there for like thousands of years. So
then the next scene's like him and the thief. Excuse me. They're in the civilization, this town, and they're trying to ask people, "Oh, have you guys seen two snakes looking at each other with the sun?" And then like they're getting like, "No, we haven't seen anything."
Yeah, so they're looking for the snake symbol because that's the thing that Conan remembers that killed his parents. So the people that raided his village and killed everybody in there, including his parents, who were part of a snake cult.
Yeah,
and the snake cult uses a symbol where they have two snakes facing each other over the sun and the moon. And he's asking these villagers about this cult because
he does get like one of some. Well, I haven't seen that symbol. But I know like there's a bunch of like different snake cults going on. They're like, we got this tower here. There's a bunch of in the other places. Maybe you might find your answers in that tower. I'm like, okay, we'll go that night. And as they're still in the town, whatever, walking around, I guess they eat something and they get high. I don't know. I feel like they got high.
Right.
Because that's what it looks like, especially when Conan goes up to a camel and he punches it. And I'm like, you just punched the camel. What?
Yeah.
And then everyone looked at him like, did he just punch the camel? Why did he punch the camel?
Right.
And all right, we got to get out of here. I'm like, are you high or something? Because I swear you must be high from whatever that guy gave you.
Right. He's high or drunk, one of the two.
And then, they get to the tower. They're about to go and climb, but then a woman comes out. All three of them draw their weapons, and they're like, "You're not a guard. You're not a guard either." I'm like,
"Can we just become best friends?"
I'm like, "What is going on?" And they're like, "Well, if you're planning to climb the ground, I'm like, how are you gonna climb without a rope?" And they still end up climbing without a rope. And I'm like, "But
no, she had the rope.
Oh yeah, she had the rope."
And I think that was what's her name? That was Valeria.
Yeah, the one that they never mentioned at all.
The one. I don't think whose name they mentioned, right?
And it's like, okay, they climb the tower. Then they go down. She goes at the first stop, and she was like, I'll stay here and figure out what's going on. And then she was like, you should go down further. And then she was down there. So she goes down.
That was kind of a weird plan.
That is a weird plan, but apparently it worked. Her plan is to basically see what's going on in this cult. So what she did was I guess he knocked out the woman. I don't know if she killed her or just knocked her out. Right. And I don't even know where she hit the body because all we know, one scene she's standing behind someone, next scene, she's in the cloak. And I'm like, did you knock her out? Did you kill her? And did you even hide the body? And
I'm pretty sure, now that I think about it,
how well did you get to that point where no one could hear her muffle? Because I'm pretty sure she was near someone for someone to hear the muffling to go on.
I'm thinking that she probably did like a sleeper hold on her and then took her clothes. And the only reason I'm saying that is because, or she could have knocked her out and is enough noise in the background where they wouldn't have heard her.
But where did she hide the body?
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think that they killed her. She killed her because she would have killed her with a sword, and it would have been blood all over those pristine white clothes.
I guess.
Right. So you can't have blood on white clothes. It's a dead giveaway that you don't belong, that you're an infidel, and you need to be killed.
Yeah.
So while she's cosplaying as one of the slave girls,
Conan and I forgot the other guy's name.
I think his name is Rexor.
Yeah, Rexor. They go down. They went further down. They're like, oh, look, we got this. I don't know what they grab. I guess a crystal eye, whatever.
They grab jewels.
They grab 2 different jewels, and one of them causes the snake that I thought was a fake snake, was a real giant animatronic snake.
Right.
Come alive.
Everybody was supposed to believe that was fake. That's why they didn't bother the snake. They thought it was just another statue.
I'm like, oh, just another statue. Okay. And then, you know, Conan grabs that one crystal and the snake becomes alive. I'm like, oh, okay. So he has to fight off the snake. And Rex was like, what is taking this man so long? He goes like, oh, he's finding a giant snake. Okay. So they killed the snake.
Yeah, Rexor filled it with arrows while Conan was stabbing it through the mouth. And then finally had to behead it because the thing wouldn't stop fighting.
No, they didn't behead it. They left the head on.
No,
they did.
He cut the head off. That's the only reason to stop fighting.
Let's see. Then Conan saw the symbol that, you know, he saw as a little kid, grabbed it, and then just as they did that, they're getting to the final stage of their ritual, and then he tells the girl to jump in the pit, and then you hear her screaming. They look down like, who killed our snake? And then, you know, they turn around, see Conan and Rex are climbing the rope, and like, get him.
You know what's funny is that they're stealing stuff the whole time, and above them, the ceremony is going on. Nobody ever noticed. I guess they're not paying attention because they're so heavily into the ceremony.
Yeah, of course.
But if all they had to do was look down, they can see them fighting the snake.
I was like, okay. And then, like, you know, they're escaping. One is about to pull out an arrow, but then can't remember the female's name. She comes out.
Valeria.
Yeah, Valeria. She stops the guy from shooting at them, and then also I think stabs the other guy.
Yeah,
I think and then use the guy that stops shooting an arrow as a way to quickly go up the rope.
Right,
by tying the rope to him and then tossing him down.
Right, she uses him as a counterweight.
Yeah.
Right,
okay, that's smart.
She ties his body to one end. She holds on to the other end of the rope, throws him down the well or whatever that place is. She throws him down one floor, and it pulls, and a rope is connected to a pulley, so it pulls her up to the higher floor, to the roof where they had entered the tower in the first place.
Yeah, they celebrate. You know, Rexor goes off with another girl.
Some girl that he found.
Yeah, Valeria went to go grab the stone eye, whatever that Conan took, and then he stopped. I'm like, he's like, no, you can't touch this. This is mine. But instead he's like, yeah, you can touch it, but you can't grab over to it. And I'm like, okay. And then next scene they're having sex. I'm like,
yeah, I think he was giving it to her.
Bonded like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they bonded over the adventure.
And then, you know, gave it to her as a necklace. I'm like, okay. Then after that, they're so hungover, the guards come in. Conan's head is in a bowl of whatever.
Oh, but before that, I think there was a montage of them stealing stuff, or was it just them partying?
It was just them partying because he was giving away stuff.
Right, because apparently whatever they stole made them rich.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. And then again, they're all three of them are so hungover. Conan's in a bowl of whatever liquid.
Right.
Valeria is like, oh, we gotta fight Conan. Get up. No, down on the ground.
She can't even fight.
And then take it to the king. And then they're like, where's the third one? It's like, he went out eaten by lions. And like, they found him like eaten by lions. I'm like,
right.
First of all, you know there's no lions in your place. Secondly, what was the point?
Yeah, what was the point of lying about that? I guess they didn't want him to get caught, so they didn't look for him.
And so for them, well, it looks like, you know, oh, they're going to be thrown into the dungeon because Doom was pissed off at the king for letting Doom's tower being raided by thieves. Mm-hmm. He's like, I want you to go save my princess, please.
Yeah, his daughter.
Like, I don't care how much I have. Like, I'll pay you anything. Like, see all these rubies I'm giving you. This is enough to make your own kings.
Right.
So please just bring her back to me. That's all I'm asking you as a father, not as a king, as a father. Right. I am old. I can't even do this myself. I can't even send my guards because I'm pretty sure they're not good enough.
Right. So, what's interesting about that is that when he was like, because his daughter was somehow beguiled by the snake cult. You
Yeah.
know, the Thulsa Doom had put his mojo on her, and now she rejected her father. So one of the things he was concerned about was that he heard about this, I guess, another king that had been killed by
his own son or whatever.
Yeah, his son or his daughter.
Stabbed
or whatever.
by a dagger with snakes on it. He's
Right.
talking about, is this the same thing waiting for me?
Right.
Who knows?
Right. So he wanted to get away from that, and also, you know, he loves his daughter. So,
Yeah.
and he had mentioned that she had went off with Thulsa Doom looking for the meaning of life, as if I could not give it to her. You know.
Let's see. The good one is when Conan goes off by himself because Vexor and the other girl, they're like, we don't want to go because, you know, that's this dangerous death.
Well,
you know?
actually, what happened was the king had paid them in advance.
Yeah, paid him in advance.
So they
and
was like, we should just go.
we should just go.
bounce. We shouldn't
but
even
Conan's
do
like, this is my chance for revenge. I don't know what you talking about.
Right,
I want revenge.
Right.
I haven't forgotten.
Right. And he was like, well, y'all stay here. I'm gone. So he actually goes by himself.
He goes by himself. He runs into the wizard of the Morn or the mountain.
The Wizard on the Mound.
Yeah, Wizard of the Mound. You know, they befriended somehow.
Yeah. Because Conan, apparently, he's just that type of dude.
That type of dude. So I'm like, hey, I can be friends with him. Okay.
Right.
And then he leaves his horse and his weapon. And he's like, okay, you know, keep my weapon clean, feed the horse. Are there any flowers around here? Flowers. Do you not see this wasteland? What flowers do you see?
Right.
Like, I already told you that fire can't even be here because the wind blows too hard.
Right.
Flowers? You must be tripping, man. You better keep going. And he's like, so he takes the camel. He finds flowers along the way, I guess. And then, because I guess they told him, because when he was on his way, he ran into some children of doom, and they told him where they was going. And it was like, okay. So he goes to where they were at. What flowers?
Yeah, they're in a field somewhere. And they're like assembling for like a religious ceremony.
And, you know, Conan waits, and, you know,
so
people come with
he wears the
robes.
flowers as a necklace.
Yeah.
And he pretends to be one of the followers.
And then, you know,
he finds
as they're getting robes, he's like, a priest comes up to him about, why were you okay? He's like, no, I'm sorry. And he's like, with a body like yours, you shouldn't be sorry. He was like, can I talk to you in private, like over there? He's like, yeah, sure. Goes over.
Where none can see
where
us.
Where no one can see us. I'm like, that should be a big hint.
Right.
This is the dangerous attemption. And then, you know, he goes, talking about, okay, now what's the matter? Talking about, I'm very sorry. Talking about, and then he asked him, are you a priest? He was like, why, yes. Punch him out good. I'm like, what good? What do you mean punch him? I'm like, oh.
Right. He punched him in the gun and hit him in it really hard in the face.
Hit him hard.
Knocked him clean out.
I'm like, okay. And then one fits all.
And here's the funny thing, right?
One fits all.
Yeah, because the dude was smaller. Like the priest was at least half the size of Conan. And yet Conan was able to put on the priestly robes and look totally normal. Nobody realized that he wasn't a priest.
Okay then. And then, you know, he's blending in decently. But and then like he also, because that thing the medallion he took with the two snakes from the cave that he got, he still has that on him. And then, you know, just to make sure people don't suspect him, he shows it off. And then, you know, let him pass. He gets to the part where he's looking toward it. And then the female's like, what do you see? He's like, infinity? She's like, good. I'm like, are you sure?
Right. He's just making stuff up.
He goes along, goes to a guard, shows the guard. The guard's like, give me that. I go ahead. And then the guard walks off to someone else. I'm like, Conan, this is where you mess up. I think all he had to do was do the little hand sign they do. I'm like, I don't think that was too hard, Conan.
Right. He probably could have got away with just doing the hand sign. And then he was on his way up to Tulsa, and then that's when he got.
Oh, he didn't know. He wasn't even moving after that. He stopped because, you know, he couldn't get any further. And then before they continued with the ceremony, that's when he got, and it was like, infidels. I'm like, first of all, like, wow, it just off the bat just grabs him, infidel.
Right. It's like a game. It's like playing Metal Gear Solid, and all of a sudden you hear break. And he's like, "What? Who saw me? I don't understand who. I was perfectly hidden inside of this box. I don't understand how anybody could have seen me." And that's exactly what happened to Conan.
Yeah, you know, then he gets hit. Then he gets whipped badly. He gets beaten down, and then, you know, that's when Doom is giving him this speech on, like, talking about, I know the riddle to steel is flesh. Flesh is stronger than steel. Yeah, it's like, okay. And then he was like, you know that snake you killed? guess what? These two, they grew that snake. And I'm like,
it was actually one of them in particular.
yeah, one of them. I'm talking about that one the most. Grew that snake.
He was
as
so
a
broken
baby.
up about it. He was
like,
broken up about it.
I'm like, okay then. Even though you already got 2 snakes around your neck, both of you. All right.
That was a special snake, though. He killed this pet snake.
Yeah,
And he's
apparently
really upset about it.
But don't you have other snakes at your other towers that I'm pretty sure you do have?
He probably does, but that snake was special.
Apparently, there was like, all right, tie him to the tree of woe. And, he's tied to a tree. And, it's like, he's like, he can't even hang on no more because he's on the brink of death. And he does end up, he does end up dying, I think. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
he's basically out there long enough, and then like his friends find and rescue him.
Yeah, rescue
but
him.
he's
bring
near
him back
death.
to the woods. Talking about, can you bring him back to life? He was like, yeah, but he said, and then Valeria's like, talking about, I'll pay the guys any price just to bring him back, to bring him from hell and back. I'll do it.
Yeah, then they have the
fight
wizard
off
does his
ghosts.
ceremony. Yeah, he does the ceremony. They got to fight the ghost.
I'm like, okay, this is a little weird. Also, if you notice, you can still see Arnold breathing a little bit. Like, I can see you breathing because I see it.
Well, he's not supposed to be dead.
I know,
just near death. You don't have to take it that he's dead, but he's close enough that they have to fight the spirits, and then they win. They win the fight.
And then Conan's like, I feel weird. This doesn't feel right. Am I back from the dead? Okay then. I still remember how to fight, and I want revenge even more.
Right. So this time,
they're making a plan
him.
to okay, we're gonna get the princess, but we can't do it because Conan is like on a vengeful spike, and you can see he's
right. Here's what happened.
And they're like, come on,
we're just gonna go there and rescue the princess, right, Conan?
In the back.
Right, Conan?
He's just there sharpening his sword. He's like, I want revenge. I want to kill this man. This man, I got beaten by his 2 goons.
He doesn't answer. He just sharpening his sword. He's not gonna commit. He's not gonna commit to not trying to get revenge or just rescuing the princess.
So they go, they go to rescue the princess. So the scene is they go in the back of the cave because apparently that's a secret hidden entrance or whatever that Doom doesn't think about. And I'm like, how do you own that cave?
That's not the same as a tower, though. I think that's a different location.
It's still his little location. How do you have a cave and you don't think about? Wait, there's a back door.
Well, how did they find out about that place?
The wizard told them. The wizard.
Oh yeah, the wizard knew. Okay.
I'm like, Doom, do you not have guards in the back of your door? Like, guard this place,
right?
Because this is a back door.
Right. He doesn't think about guarding the back door, so
they sneak in. They put paint on, and I'm like, I don't get the point of
because it's cool. Okay, they put camouflage paint on because it's cool.
Sure.
And that's the only reason.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. Because it's like you're in a cave full of people. I don't see how a black and white zebra stripe camouflage is going to work in a cave full of people. But it looked cool. That's why they did it. It's to show their fierceness. It's not really meant as camouflage. It's to show their warlike intentions.
Sure. So they go ahead, sneak in. They get to the pleasure room where they see the princess go into this other room. There's this bowl of liquid in it, and then in one scene you can see what's in the bowl is like human. Like I see a hand, I see a foot. I'm like, y'all drinking that stuff?
Yeah. Okay, so they're basically cannibals. So they're drinking human soup.
I'm like, okay.
They don't even cut the parts up.
They don't cut it. It's like
they just throw a whole skull in there. I guess the skull is in there for flavoring.
A skull, a foot, a hand. I'm like, okay then. Y'all weird. So they go in, they put that planet axe in, they burn a not a cape, a curtain that's in the pleasure room.
Right. I think that's supposed to be part of the distraction.
Yeah. They go in, they fought off some of the guards. Also, Doom turns into a snake, and I'm like, you could turn into a snake when? When was that a thing?
Well, he's part of the snake cult, so there's got to be a snake cult for a reason. So he turns to a snake, and it's not even really part of the story. I guess it's part of the ceremony. Like he uses the ceremony.
No, he used it to get out.
Because he comes back. Because what happens is that there's like an orgy going on, and they're eating. They're during the orgy. they're drinking human soup, I guess. And there's a guy like staring at the whole time.
just staring
And then I
at-
think there's people, there are priests or whatever walking around. So he's using all of that is part of the ceremony.
I guess.
And I think he uses that ceremony to transform into a snake because that's his preferred state of being. That's what I'm guessing. He just likes being a snake.
Whatever.
It's a
And
snake
then,
cult. That's what you do.
You know, excuse me, they grab the princess and then she's screaming, scratching, basically, because she is hypnotized, whatever. The Toon Goons from the beginning of the movie comes in and they start fighting Conan. Conan gets lucky enough to escape because he was about to get beaten up again. I was like, Conan, come on now. You got to play smarter.
Right.
You know, they're escaping Valeria?
Right. There you go. You
Valeria,
got it right.
okay.
Valeria.
Yeah, had a, you know, I thought she was still with Rex, but apparently no, she was left behind still. I'm like, thought she was with Rex. Because I'm pretty sure you and Rex was the first to leave and then Conan. So how did it end up being Rex and Conan get out first and then you?
Right.
But whatever. She fights off two guys, throwing off her sword skill, escape. Then they go back. They're about to go back to the wizard, but then Doom's like, seek. He takes the snake, makes it into an arrow. And I was like, you know, that's a pretty neat skill.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool trick.
Shoots the arrow and it hits Valeria. I was like, oh, well. And I'm thinking it was going to be like, you know, she gets hit and it was going to, you know, lead them to the location. But no, it was like hit, died. I'm like,
Right.
I thought you said seek, not
right,
no, end
not
up killing.
kill.
There's a difference, dude.
Right. Yeah, I think that probably would have been smarter, but no, it's
No.
they get further away and they
she dies, and then
she
you know
dies.
they put her on a mountain where the wind is blowing so hard, and then the wizard's like, "There's no fire. What are you doing?" And then Rex is like, "You want to bet?" Runs up there, lights it on fire, and then comes back. He's like, "The wizard's like, there's fire up there? How? I don't get it."
Right. It's supposed to be a place where fire can't burn, but
Apparently, the spirits are allowing the fire to burn,
Right,
because
right.
he's a warrior.
right. Yeah.
And then
that's
you know,
a very good interpretation.
The wizard's like, "Why are you crying?" And then Rex is like, "Because Conan won't cry, so I'll cry for him." I'm like, that's a good friend right there.
Right. That's a good friend.
So you know they have the princess tied up. They have the princess tied up. She's still talking about, oh, Doom is gonna be here. He'll come and rescue me.
She's still loyal to
And
Thune.
he will kill you all.
She's
So
like,
they have to
Thune's
set up a
ride
trap.
or die.
Yeah, so they have to set up a trap. They're like, okay, we have the trap set up. Good. All fine and dandy. Doom comes in with his henchmen and his Toon Goons. They come in charging. Conan is standing in the one place, chomping them down one by one. I'm like, you guys are the worst henchmen ever. Coming down by a horse and just getting chopped one by one.
Right.
Stop.
Right.
So he's by himself. Rex is dealing with some other guards. He also, the wizard gets one kill, and he was excited about that one time. I got him with the spear.
Right.
I'm like, okay.
Right. And what you call it? So Conan, he's able to dispatch the other guns. This is a pretty exciting fight.
Yeah.
At one point in the fight, he gets knocked down.
And he gets saved by Valeria. I'm like,
He gets saved by the ghost of Valeria.
I'm like, wait a minute, what?
She's
What is this nonsense?
She's in full Valkyrie gear. She's been transformed to some kind of
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie gear. She's a Valkyrie angel who saves Conan, and she's always saying, "Do you want to live forever?" So apparently she got her wish. She's living forever.
Apparently, I'm like, is the other guy's not? And I think he was like, did I just get blind?
Yeah, she doesn't actually kill him. She basically swipes his eyes with her sword.
And he's like, was that a spirit? What is this?
Right.
This is bogus.
So with that dude, he's injured. So Conan is able to finish him off.
The guy with the hammer, he gets hit. He falls for a trap that Conan set up, which was a very nice trap.
Right.
That I was wondering, like, when they said it, I was like, when are they gonna use this trap?
Right. So he got. And then the last one left is Thulsa Doom himself.
And he's like, I ain't going out. I'm getting out of here.
No,
and before
when
he leaves, he's like, use the snake again on the princess.
Right.
Shoot it. And then, gets blocked by Rex with the shield. And he's like, that was my only snake. God.
Right. And she's begging for Thulsa to rescue her.
And then she realized,
but
he ain't coming
he's
back
not
for
coming
me.
to rescue you. He just came all this way just to kill you.
I'm like, wow.
Which is kind of weird.
And then
it's
he
like
goes,
his mentality is whack, you know? I guess his plan was like he was either going to rescue her or he was going to kill her. And that was one of the two. Maybe he decided that if these two would come to rescue her, then other people would come. So he's going to kill her so that nobody else would try to come and rescue her, I guess. I don't know.
It goes back to his code. It's like, all right, guys, this is the moment because, you know, they will feel the dark. You see these light, these candles all up. This is the light that you need. Conan comes up behind Doom.
Yeah.
And Doom is like, come on. You don't want to kill me. I made you. If it wasn't for me, you'd just been some homie killing the village. Whoop-de-doo. Right. And then Conan's like, no. Chopped it. And,
well, actually, he puts his mojo, throws to Doom, puts his mojo on. He tries to put his mojo on Conan. And it almost works.
Almost. And then he's like, swipes one of his neck. He falls to his knees. Everyone gasps like, oh my God. And then I'm like, aren't there supposed to be guards?
Yeah, that's funny, right? Because he got called on the first time he tried this.
Oh,
this is the second time tried it. This is the second time. And this time he was able to get up there. He got all the way up there. Like, nobody noticed him.
I'm like, wait, which way did you take to get back there? Because I feel like there was no back way. And if there was, when did you find out about that back door entrance? But
right.
And again, where are the guards to be rushing up there with arrows or something?
Right.
Instead, they just let him chop off Doom's head. I'm like, oh.
Right.
And then he just throws the head, and I'm like...
And everybody else is like, okay, party's over. So throw your candles in the water.
Walks away. I'm like, okay.
And then it tells an epilogue of how he eventually become king.
Yeah, it's like, okay, he becomes king.
People who are fans of Conan are waiting for the third Conan movie because they did do a second one, so they're hoping that they would eventually do another movie where he's Conan and king, but it never happened. People been waiting for it their entire life.
That is actually sad.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is getting old. Okay, he's old enough to be king now, and they're not doing it.
That is really sad that they did not do a third movie where he is a king.
Right, that
was the whole point of the first movie. Like,
right.
That's a story for another time.
Right,
wink. And like, you just gave it away, saying you're gonna have it. Okay, there's a sequel. The sequel's not him becoming king, but okay, third movie. Come on, let him be king. No, there's no third movie.
Right.
What is this nonsense? Right. You can't just tell us in the first movie that he becomes a king,
right?
And then you don't do it in the sequel, but we're hoping for a third one where he is a king. Come on.
You know, they do that in a lot of movies, especially like James Bond. They was trying to James Bond this movie, so they was setting it up already in the very first movie that there was going to be a sequel. Just like in the very first James Bond movie, they set up, you know what, he's coming back. It's gonna, on the very first Superman movie because they filmed part 1 and part 2 simultaneously. So it was like, he's coming back in Superman 2. So they was trying to do the same thing for Conan, but it didn't quite work out as well as they thought they did.
Some good quotes. There's only 2 good quotes. And that's, no, is it 2? Yeah, I think it is 2. Where when Conan was
when he was a
competitor,
right?
A guy asked him about what is best in life. One guy answered wrong, and Conan's like, crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hit a limitation of their woman. And like, yeah, that's a good answer. I'm like,
right.
Okay,
right.
then. Another good one was when he's praying, telling me, I never prayed to you, but telling me, I don't care.
He's praying to who?
Chrome. And he's like, I don't care if people don't remember why we fought the good and evil. No, he doesn't care, like, telling me if it was bad or good. He just want people to remember it was 2 guys. He said 2.
There's 2 against a horde.
A horde. And I mean, are you serious 2? Because I'm pretty sure you're forgetting about the wizard. But okay, just count him.
Well, he didn't count him as one of the fighters.
But he was like 2 against a horde. Talking about if you don't grab me my wrist, then to hell with you. I'm like, okay, then you've been saying calm all your time. Doing your little prayers, saying that he's the strongest god. Okay, and you're saying to hell with him? Alrighty then.
Right.
Conan,
right.
all right, go ahead.
right.
And I guess Chrome's like, hey, did you say to hell with me? I'm gonna help him out.
Right.
Just to prove my point that I'm a good guy. That I'm a powerful god.
Right.
To hell with me. What's wrong with him?
So you recognize these because of why?
Oh, because of other shows, like The Amazing World of Gumball.
Right.
Especially Nicole talking about crush your enemies. See them different before you and hit a lamentation out the women.
Right. I think I remember seeing that. And it's funny, right? Because I think you see that in a lot of cartoons or whatnot when they reference Conan in that way.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Right.
I think Gumball had a toy, like a barbarian toy, and he's talking like he has a bunch of weapons. And I'm like, he's nothing but a guy in a loincloth without his weapons. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that with Conan.
Right.
What about Chicken did a little, skit about Conan Barbarian where Conan is singing a song about crush enemies, see them doing it before you and hear the limitation of the woman.
Right.
Okay.
They did a whole song and dance with that one, right?
Yep.
So let us move on to the trivia portion of the show. Why don't you start us off?
Let's see. James Earl Jones phone. Why phone?
What?
James Earl Jones was a last-minute addition to the cast because of his commitments on Broadway. He and Arnold Schwarzenegger became friends on set. Schwarzenegger helped Jones stay in shape, and Jones coached Schwarzenegger on acting. So did Max von Sydow.
Yeah, those are
he's
like...
like, I'm gonna help you on how to act as long as you help me stay in shape. A deal is a deal, right? There we go. Go ahead and put me on your training program.
Right. And he was in much better shape. Like, this is like older Jones, but earlier he was he played boxers and athletes and whatnot. So he's in much better shape when he was way younger, when he was doing like black and white shows and in movies. And like, those are like two of the best acting teachers or coaches that you can have, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And like, people always clown about how bad he can act, but his first major role is actually pretty good. It's actually
not bad.
His accent isn't that bad, even though it was like atrocious before.
Also, whenever he feels like, oh, I'm like, did you not do that? Will you fall?
But it's really not that bad. It doesn't improve a whole lot, like, as you go through his movies, like as time goes on, but it's really not that bad. So let me continue. Arnold Schwarzenegger called Max von Sydow the first incredible dramatic actor he ever worked with. He finds von Sydow's performance staggering.
In an interview, John Miller said that the dogs they used in the film was very unfriendly and dangerous. He even went as far as to say, when you had the dogs chasing Arnold Schwarzenegger and he was actually running for his life because he knew those dogs were very dangerous, and they even attacked their trainer.
That's kind of messed up.
So I'm guessing in that first scene when the village is getting messed up.
No, not that one, because he wasn't.
Because remember they did use dogs in that one.
Yeah, they used dogs, but that's not the scene they're talking about when he was running. I know, but
because they used the dogs was unfriendly. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Right. When in that scene when he's getting attacked by those dogs, the father, I'm like,
yeah, the father. Is he
right?
I think
are those dogs trained?
I don't think that was a real person. I think that was a dummy. It looked like a dummy to me.
That better been a trainer themselves. Like, I got to deal with these dogs.
But yeah, that scene when he was running in a I guess the desert or whatever, and he's running to the rocks.
He's running for his life.
That's the scene that they were talking about.
I'm like, oh, okay then.
That's kind of messed up. Arnold Schwarzenegger had weapons training, martial arts training, and horseback riding lessons from specialists. He trained with an 11-pound broadsword 2 hours a day for 3 months. Each broadsword cost $10,000, and they had to look weathered. He also learned climbing techniques and how to fall and roll and jump from 15 feet in the air. John Milius made sure all of these were videotaped, and according to Schwarzenegger, they were just as intense as training for bodybuilding competitions. Franco Columbu was his trainer and was awarded with a small part in the film.
All right. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sandai Bergman did their own stunts as suitable body doubles couldn't be found. Of course, you can't find anything for Schwarzenegger.
So I'm trying to think. Because I know they couldn't find one for Schwarzenegger because he was so gigantic, and they couldn't find anybody that was close to his size. I don't know why they couldn't find one for Sandal Bergman. That actually doesn't make any sense. I think they were just being cheap.
You're like, we don't need another female. We already got 3 females in this film, not 4 actually.
Maybe because she was so tall. I think that's probably the reason why.
I mean, if all he's doing is rolling and then, backflipping, I don't think the height matters.
No, I'm talking about they couldn't find a body double. When you want a body double, you want to get somebody the same height. So they couldn't find somebody as tall as she was. That was a body double and not a model or an actress. So that's that was a problem they had with that. But nowadays, it's not really a problem. So a limitation for Arnold Schwarzenegger was his heavy Austrian accent, which was included in certain scenes of the film. He had to take extensive voice coach training to learn to control, which is admirable. Because if you've seen like his earlier movie, I think it's called Hercules in New York.
Right.
Man, you can barely understand what he's saying.
The sword inscriptions read, "Suffer no guilt, ye who will this in the name of Chrome." While he was governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger displayed behind his chair in the Reagan cabinet room.
Reagan is named for former California Governor Ronald Reagan, and he also became president. Although Valeria is Conan's love interest in the film, in the Conan canon, the pirate queen Billet is considered to be the love of his life. Valeria even borrows a lot of Billet's characteristics in the film. Many who are familiar with Conan pulp novels wondered why Valeria was in the film instead of Billet. In the film commentary, John Milius said that he always wanted to do a Valkyrie-like character, and Valeria more closely fit the description than Billet.
Although the Hyborian age of Conan was approximately 10,000 BC, creator Robert E. Howard used medieval themes and influences in the Conan stories to avoid any complicated historical research. Oliver Stone's script placed the story in a post-apocalyptic future rather than the distant past. This was abandoned and the original timeline was restored.
You know what? Thank goodness for that, because I don't think it would have worked as a post-apocalyptic movie. Because in all of those movies, you know, guns still work, and so they're always fighting with guns. I don't know. It wouldn't be as impactful without Conan with a sword. Let's continue. The Tree of Woe, where Conan was crucified, is not an actual tree. The film crew created the tree out of layers of plaster and styrofoam applied to a skeleton of wood and steel. It was mounted on a turntable, allowing it to be rotated to ensure the angle of the shadows remained consistent throughout the 3 days of filming. Arnold Schwarzenegger sat on a bicycle seat mounted in the tree while fake nails were affixed to his wrists and feet. I didn't realize he was nailed to the tree. I didn't see that, because I know
it
they
didn't even look like he was nailed to the tree.
Because I know they say crucify him, so that's what that usually. Well, that doesn't usually mean that you nailed to an object. A lot of times they'll just tie you to an object.
Arnold Schwarzenegger had retired from professional bodybuilding after winning the 1975 Mr. Olympia contest. He got back into such a good shape while training for his role in Conan the Barbarian that he decided to enter the 1980 Mr. Olympia contest. He won the contest, although there was a great deal of controversy about whether he deserved the victory.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Like, man, he only won because he's a movie star. I think that was what was being said. Real arrows were shot into the snake right over Arnold Schwarzenegger's head. John Milius shot them himself after it was determined that he was the best archer in the crew. That is ridiculous.
The film was intended to be the beginning of a series, with at least 4 sequels in the pipeline, and Arnold Schwarzenegger had to commit to all of them. Yeah, but only did two.
Yeah, they only.
Wait, yeah. So that if they was gonna do 4, that means the 4th one was gonna be the one who became king.
Right. I mean, he may have become the king at the end of the 3rd one, and then fully king in the 4th one. But that dreams don't come true. Conan's response to the Mongol generals is an abbreviation of a real quote attributed to Genghis Khan. The greatest pleasure is to vanquish your enemies and chase them before you, to rob them of their wealth and to see their dear to them bathed in tears, to ride their horses and clasp to your bosom their wives and daughters. That's mad complicated version.
The fake blood used in the film came in the form of concentrated concrete
of a concentrate.
Concentrated, which had to be mixed with water prior to use. Due to the cold weather, it was mixed with vodka as an antifreeze. Instead, in the scene in which the actors were supposed to spit the blood, they would swallow it instead, then go back to special effects man for more. We said like, oh, I need more. I forgot to spit out the blood. You been drinking? I think, why I feel like that's what they've been doing when they was in the village. They was like, let's still drink some of that wine.
Yeah, but they weren't bloody. That's the problem.
I don't think they killed like, oh, we're not supposed to drink it? Oh, I'm sorry. Listen, is this with vodka? And I couldn't help,
I guess they were like, man, this is some good vodka. The dynamic score by Basil Palladorius had been frequently used by other filmmakers as temp tracks in other films. It has also been frequently used in advanced trailers and TV spots for other films.
When Oliver Stone wrote the script, he made Arnold Schwarzenegger read comics and fantasy novels to see how he handled period dialogue. Stone set the story in the future after the downfall of civilization. It was to be a 4-hour saga and a whole host of creatures. It would have cost the studio $70 million, approximately $173 million in 2016, adjusted for inflation, to pull that off. So they refused. John Milius wound up rewriting much of the Stone script, which cut the budget by more than half, which also called for a change in location. He wanted the fantasy occurred in accurate in every detail.
Yeah.
He was like, I wanted to be in the future.
That sounds like Oliver Stone on coke. The film is named for Conan, but the character's personal history seemed to be based on Kull the Conqueror. Robert E. Howard, the creator of both characters, gave a more detailed origin of Kull. Conan was a younger adventurer who apparently left his homeland voluntarily. He was never a slave or a gladiator in any story by Howard, while Kull was exiled from his homeland and spent time as first a slave and then a gladiator before usurping a throne. The character Thulsa Doom is both named after and partly based on an enemy of Kull and not of Conan. The Serpent Cult features prominently in tales of both characters.
It was like, we're just gonna mix these two up.
Right.
Conan sounds better than Kull. Kull sounds like a villain. Conan sounds much better.
They could have just did Kull the Conqueror because they're basically the same character.
The stuntman Terry Leonard was dropped down the well by Valeria in the Tower of Set, fell into a big pile of empty cardboard boxes to avoid injury. His leg still broke from the fall. Leonard?
Yeah.
Was trying to impress Sandal Bergerman. Sure enough, they started dating afterward. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take this fall. I'm going to do it to the point where I impress her, even if I break something.
He jumped down a well and broke his leg. And that's the type of thing you do.
He's like, I broke my leg. How are you impressed about that? Sure, I guess we can go to dinner.
That's kind of wild. A Conan expert was brought in to tutor Arnold Schwarzenegger on how to live like the character, ergo sleeping outdoors, living off the land, etc. Schwarzenegger thanked him by getting him cast as an enemy warrior hacked to bits by Conan. He was delighted that Schwarzenegger had been cast as Conan, as were the fans.
He's like, thank you so much. I'm going to let you become an enemy that I get to cut up.
Right.
Awesome.
I guess he was stoked just being in the film and having, Schwarzenegger looks like you imagine how Conan would look in real life. Because if you look at some of the Conan comics, it's like, it's a real big dude, huge, muscular dude. And, with a savage look to his face. And Arnold Schwarzenegger seems to fit that description perfectly. So the next segment, what the critics thought. Critics gave it a 64% and audience gave it a 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb reviews gave it a 6.9/10. So that's actually kind of consistent with Rotten Tomatoes. And I think that's a very deserved score. Zach, what did the critics think?
Let's see. Verity staff from Verity. There is a real anticipation as Schwarzenegger is unveiled as the Barbarian and set off on the road to independence. But for whatever reason, the actor has a minimum of dialogue and fails to convey much about the character's thoughts through his action. I'm like, I think that's the whole point.
Yeah, actually,
like when he's captured, he ain't speaking much. When he's fighting, he's not really gonna be speaking much. He's not gonna be thinking what's on his mind.
Right, and you don't need to have a character just
talking all the time.
Right. So I
understand if he doesn't talk at all and it's a weird movie where all he does is action, but when he talks a little bit, that's pretty fine.
Right. It's I don't know where they're going at here. It's like they needed something negative to say about that. It's like, oh, the character doesn't talk. So it doesn't feel like valid criticism to me. There are movies where the main character doesn't speak at all and they're considered masterpieces. So I don't know where they're going with this. So James Berardinelli of Real Views, he wrote, even 17 years after its release, Conan the Barbarian still weaves a spell capable of enthralling fans of fantasy adventure. So yeah, I agree that it fits the bill. If you somebody who loves fantasy, Conan the Barbarian will fill that cup for you.
Yep.
And James O'Healy of Sci-Fi Movie Page, he wrote, no comic book stuff here. The film is dark and gloomy with excessive violence. Really? Even in 1980, it didn't feel like it was a whole bunch of violence.
I wouldn't say dark and gloomy with a bunch of violence. Like, sure, there's fighting, but I wouldn't say
there's some dark and gloomy moments.
Yeah,
but
it's not a whole entire film isn't fully dark and gloomy.
Right. This is, you got to look at it this way. This is way before John Wick. Apparently, this dude has not seen John Wick or any movie since Conan, because Conan does not have a whole bunch of fighting. As a matter of fact, it was slowly paced. It was a very slowly paced film.
Kevin Carr.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Carr.
From 7M Pictures. It's stencil 80s cinema with some amazing elements, including the unflinching violence for the time and the brilliant score by Basil Polidoris.
Yep. It was good music. It was very well placed. That's iconic music right there. So Zachary, what did you think of Conan the Barbarian?
It was a good movie.
So you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
I was kind of afraid at first because it was like I forgot how slow paced it was. So this is something I was like, oh man, he's going to say it's boring. So were there some parts of it that you found a little bit dull or boring or anything like that?
Let's see, him pushing the wheel and it's like, oh, we're going to show you this transaction of this little boy keeping it set. Again, I love how the little boy does look like what Arnold Schwarzenegger would look like as a kid. I was like, I can see him looking like that as a kid.
Right.
But still, it's boring that, pushing this wheel, okay, whoop-de-doo.
Right.
Good for you. And then I would say that is the only boring part. Other than that, him getting chased by the dogs, that was good. Him finding... actually the sex scene. I'm like, what's the point of the sex scene? Why? I don't get it. I understand he's getting information from this witch, but this is pointless to me.
Right. Oh, well, it's the 80s. So 80s movies always got to have a couple sex scenes. It's absolutely essential in the 1980s. But yeah, it was very slow paced. So if you don't mind a slow paced movie, then Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's a pretty decent story. And I remember absolutely loving the film growing up. Finally, Conan the Barbarian is, as of this recording, available for free on Peacock. The next episode is Big Trouble in Little China. Good old Jack Burton. You listen to Jack Burton, you hear? Big Trouble in Little China.
I'll think about it.
Once again, if you like the show, then please rate and review us. Share it with someone. Use hashtag Backlook Cinema on Twitter or your favorite social media sites. Believe me, it matters. Be safe, hug your loved ones, and be outstanding.